Hi. So, I normally don't do this, but last week I missed my deadline and I decided to spend an extra week just on my project to get it a lot better than it was at the moment because I was feeling like it was pretty terrible. Anyway, this is the process of how I improved the background, and as you can see here, it was not very amazing, and this is the end result that I got eventually. So the first question I had when I got to this point was, how do I improve this? And I came up with a little bullet point list. First step, make the ground texture smaller. The scale of the ground texture was just not working out for me very well. And the second step was to change the tree leaves to a fall color, then to break up the uniform space on the ground. And I did that by adding more grass and adding rocks. So as you can see, when you scale down a texture, you can start seeing the texture repeating, and one of my big challenges with that was to figure out how to get it to look better and not repeat as much. So here's a quick little time lapse of how I did that. Basically, what I did was I added two different UV maps and mixed them together with a noise texture, and this is the process of me doing that. And I came up with a crazy complicated node setup, which I'm sure probably could have been more optimized, but I was recording at the moment, so I was like, how do I do this? And I just threw this together real quick. That pretty much solved my problems pretty well. So the next thing on my list was to add rocks, and I thought to myself, I don't really need to buy rocks, I can make them myself. Oh my gosh! So I made my own rocks, and this is a quick little time lapse to do that. Pretty simple stuff. The best part about it was the texture, which I downloaded from CC0 Textures. There's a nice rock texture there. I just made some spheres with quads. And let the displacement modifier with the texture do most of the work for that.
It's nothing short of a miracle.
Then I added some grass, and bam! It still looked like crap. So I decided to take away some stones because those were all over the place and a little odd looking, I thought. So I got to this point, and I thought once again, how do I improve this? And the answer I thought up was HDR, of course. Those things are the bomb because you can just drop them in with one click and it makes everything so realistic looking. Well, that wasn't really true. I added this one in, that was wrong. So I went to HDRI Haven, and they have some really great HDRs there. They're all free. So I threw one of those in, messed with about 1 billion controls, and surprisingly, that wasn't too bad. At this point, I messed around with the lighting a lot. What I haven't mentioned to you yet was this is the look I was going for, sort of a Lord of the Ringsy look. So I looked back at my reference and looked at my render, and I thought to myself, how could I have missed it? Sorry. So this is my secret recipe for mist. On this project, I just used some simple compositing mist. I know you can use volumetrics, but I decided to keep it pretty simple here. So I started with the depth output, put that into a normalized node, and then ran that through a color ramp just to crunch the values up a little bit and get the mist more in the background. Here I mixed it with the original render, that was sort of a blanket effect that I didn't really like very much. I wanted to add some more variation. So I used a cloud texture and I put that through another color ramp, which I put through a mixed node. And that was getting better, but it was a bit much. So once again, I mixed that with the original render and just turned down the mist a lot. And that's basically how I got the mist. Another node I ended up putting in was a color balance node, and that gave it more of this look, which was pretty good. That's what I wanted. So if you learned anything useful from this, feel free to hit the like and subscribe and all that. Leave a comment if you like, share, and cheers!